You know, life has this funny way of teaching us lessons in the most unexpected moments. Loyalty isn't just about standing by others, it's about standing by yourself when the world tries to shake you. Peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the presence of strength within you even when everything around you is loud. And self-worth, that's not something anyone can hand you, it's something you decide for yourself every single day. I've learned that when you truly understand these three: loyalty, peace, and self-worth, you stop chasing validation and start living with power. You stop breaking yourself to fit into spaces and start creating spaces that fit your soul. Today, I want to take you on a journey to uncover the truth about these pillars, because once you master them, you don't just survive, you thrive. Loyalty is one of those words that people throw around so easily, but very few truly understand its depth. Most of the time, when we talk about loyalty, we think about being there for other people, standing by friends, family, or a partner no matter what. But the truth is, loyalty begins long before it ever touches another person's life. It begins with you. You cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot be loyal to anyone else if you haven't first learned to be loyal to yourself. It's about honoring who you are, even when it's uncomfortable, even when the world demands that you bend, and even when the people around you expect you to compromise on your truth just to keep them happy. Being loyal to yourself means showing up for your own values and beliefs, especially when it feels easier to abandon them. It's standing by the promises you've made to yourself in the quiet moments of reflection, the ones nobody else hears. How many times have you told yourself, "I won't let anyone treat me this way again," or "I will choose myself no matter what," only to find yourself breaking those very promises the moment life tests you? That's where self-loyalty is tested. It's not about the easy choices, it's about the hard ones, the ones that cost you relationships, comfort, and sometimes even the version of yourself you thought you wanted to be. Loyalty to yourself doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it means saying no when you're terrified someone will walk away because of it. It means holding onto your boundaries, even if they shake the ground you stand on. It's being willing to walk alone rather than walk in the wrong direction with a crowd. And here's the thing, being loyal to yourself often exposes who is truly loyal to you. When you stop betraying yourself to please others, you quickly learn who values you for who you are, and who only values what they can get from you. People will call you selfish when you begin to prioritize self-loyalty, but that's only because they benefited from the version of you that abandoned yourself for their comfort. Loyalty to yourself isn't selfish. It's the foundation of every healthy relationship you will ever have. If you cannot honor your own heart, how can you authentically honor anyone else's? Being loyal to yourself also means listening to that inner voice that tells you when something isn't right, even when you can't explain it to anyone else. It means not silencing your intuition just because the world is loud. It's choosing to trust your journey, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone but you. This level of self-loyalty builds a strength that no one can take away. It creates a version of you that is rooted, not swayed by every opinion or every shifting circumstance. There will be times when loyalty to yourself will require loss. You may lose people, opportunities, or even the comfort of a life you thought you wanted. But what you gain in return is unshakable. You gain respect for yourself that cannot be bought, and you gain a life built on authenticity rather than performance. You also gain the ability to offer true loyalty to others, because now it's coming from a place of strength, not sacrifice. Think about it. When you betray yourself to keep others happy, the loyalty you're giving them isn't pure, it's fear disguised as devotion. But when you stand in your truth and remain loyal to your heart, the loyalty you extend becomes real because it's born from freedom, not obligation. That's the kind of loyalty that builds lasting connections and inspires others to rise to the same standard. The world will always test your loyalty to yourself. Every time you face a decision that requires you to choose between your truth and someone else's expectations, you are being asked, will you honor yourself this time? And every time you choose yourself, you strengthen that muscle until betrayal no longer feels like an option. So when you think about loyalty, Don't just picture standing beside others. Picture standing in front of the mirror and saying, "I won't abandon you." Picture choosing your own soul, even when it's the hardest thing to do. That is the kind of loyalty that transforms not just your relationships, but your entire life. Because the truth is, the moment you become loyal to yourself is the moment you set the standard for how the world is allowed to treat you. And that kind of loyalty, that's where real power begins. Peace is something everyone says they want, yet so few people actually experience it in their daily lives. We often treat peace as if it's a place we have to travel to, or a reward we'll get when life finally stops being messy. But the truth is, peace isn't something you stumble upon by accident, or something that just lands in your lap when circumstances are perfect. Peace is something you create intentionally through the choices you make every single day, no matter what's happening around you. It's easy to assume that if we could just get rid of the chaos, if the noise would just stop, then we would finally feel calm. But life doesn't work that way. There will always be something, unexpected problems, difficult people, challenges you didn't see coming. If your peace depends on everything being calm outside of you, you'll spend your whole life chasing it and never catching it. True peace is built on the inside, brick by brick, decision by decision. It's not about waiting for life to quiet down. It's about learning how to be still within yourself, no matter how loud things get. Creating peace starts with what you allow into your space. Every time you choose what to focus on, what to engage with, what energy you let stay in your life, you are either building your peace or breaking it down. Peace is not passive, it's active. It takes strength to say, "This conversation is draining me, so I'm stepping away." It takes courage to protect your mental and emotional well-being, even when people call you cold or distant for doing it. But that's the thing about real peace. It often requires you to choose yourself over other people's comfort. Peace also comes from the discipline of letting go. You cannot hold onto everything and expect to feel light, carrying grudges, replaying old wounds, holding on to what should have been. They are all weights that drag your spirit down. Sometimes the loudest thing in your mind isn't the world outside. It's the storm you keep feeding on the inside. Finding peace means making the conscious choice to release what you cannot change and stop fighting battles that only exist in your memory. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It means you are wise enough to stop bleeding for something that's already over. Another thing people misunderstand about peace is that it doesn't always feel comfortable at first. Choosing peace sometimes looks like sitting in silence when you're used to running, or removing yourself from toxic situations when you're used to fixing everything for everyone. It can feel lonely. It can feel strange. But over time, you learn that peace isn't about what you lose. It's about what you gain. You gain clarity. You gain strength. You gain a life that isn't dictated by drama or fear. One of the most powerful ways to create peace is by setting boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. It's easy to blame the outside world for our lack of calm, but often we are the ones letting the chaos in. We let our minds run in circles, we entertain toxic conversations, we say yes when we know we should say no. Building peace means telling yourself the truth about what's really stealing your calm, and then having the discipline to shut the door on it, no matter how tempting it is to let it stay. Peace is also deeply connected to how much you trust yourself. When you second-guess every decision, when you constantly doubt your path, you create a battlefield in your own mind. But when you decide to stand firm in your choices, even when you don't have all the answers, you create a stability that no one else can shake. Peace isn't about knowing everything will go perfectly. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you will handle it. That trust in yourself becomes a shield against the storms of life. At its core, peace is about alignment. Your thoughts, your actions, your values all moving in the same direction. When you live out of alignment, when you say yes while your soul screams no, you create an internal war. But when you start honoring your truth, when you choose integrity over approval, You feel a quiet strength that nothing outside of you can destroy. So if you want peace, stop waiting for life to calm down and start building it inside yourself right now. Choose it when you walk away from arguments that don't matter. Choose it when you forgive yourself for mistakes you can't undo. Choose it when you create space between yourself and the things that drain you. Peace is not found in a perfect life. It's found in a powerful choice. And every day, with every decision, you have the chance to build it or break it. The truth is, peace isn't something you wait for. It's something you create, and once you build it from within, nothing and no one can take it away from you. Your self-worth is not something that anyone else can define for you, and it's not something you can afford to put up for negotiation. Too often, we hand over the responsibility of our value to other people, waiting for their approval, their validation, or their love to tell us we are enough. But the reality is, worth is a decision you make about yourself, not a verdict handed down by the world. It is the standard you set for how you allow yourself to be treated. And the moment you understand that, your entire life begins to shift. When you make your worth conditional, based on how successful you are, how attractive you look, or how loved you feel, you build it on shaky ground. Those things can change in an instant. One failure, one heartbreak, one rejection, and suddenly your sense of value collapses. But when you decide that your worth is unshakable, when you root it in who you are rather than what you have or what others see, it becomes indestructible. That is why self-worth cannot depend on external validation. It has to come from the inside out. Living with unshakable self-worth means refusing to shrink to make others comfortable. It means no longer begging for a seat at tables that don't see your value, and no longer twisting yourself into shapes just to be accepted. When you truly know your worth, you stop asking, "Am I good enough for them?" And you start asking, "Are they good enough to sit at my table?" That shift in perspective changes everything, because it puts the power back where it belongs, in your hands. There's a quiet strength in people who know their self-worth. They don't need to prove themselves in every room they walk into. They don't need to convince anyone to see their value. They simply live it, and that energy speaks louder than any words ever could. But getting to that place takes work. It takes unlearning years of conditioning that told you to earn love, to prove value, to seek approval. It takes breaking free from the belief that you are only as worthy as what you can give others or what you can achieve. One of the most powerful things you can do for your self-worth is to set non-negotiable boundaries. These are the lines that say, "This is how I deserve to be treated, and anything less than this is not acceptable." When you hold those boundaries, even when it's hard, you teach the world how to treat you. People will test them. Some will walk away when they realize they can no longer benefit from you undervaluing yourself. But every time you choose to honor those boundaries, you reinforce to yourself that you are worthy, regardless of who stays or leaves. Another key to building self-worth is learning to separate your mistakes from your identity. Too many people let failures define them. They internalize rejection, thinking it means they aren't valuable. But mistakes and failures are events. They are not you. Your worth is not reduced because something didn't work out. Your worth is not lowered because someone couldn't see your value. When you understand that your self-worth exists independent of circumstances, you gain the courage to take risks, to dream big, to live authentically, because you are no longer afraid of losing something that was never up for debate in the first place. Self-worth also means treating yourself with the same love and respect you so freely give to others. It's easy to pour into everyone else and forget that you are deserving of that same kindness. The way you talk to yourself, the way you take care of your body, the way you honor your needs, those are all reflections of how you see your own value. If you constantly put yourself last, if you ignore your needs to keep everyone else happy, you send yourself a dangerous message that you don't matter as much. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. There will always be people who try to make you question your worth. Some will do it intentionally, some unconsciously. But when your self-worth is rooted deep inside you, Their opinions can't shake you. You can listen, you can learn, but you no longer let anyone else's inability to see your value define who you are. That kind of self-worth doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you free, free to live, free to love, free to walk away from anything that diminishes you without guilt or fear. At the end of the day, knowing yourself, worth is about making a daily choice. Every morning you wake up and decide, I am enough, I am valuable, I am worthy. You choose it when you honor your boundaries. You choose it when you refuse to settle. You choose it when you walk away from anything that requires you to betray yourself. And every time you choose it, you reinforce it until it becomes unshakable. The truth is, your self-worth was never something you had to earn. It was always yours. The only question is whether you are willing to finally claim it. True loyalty has a way of revealing everything you need to know about the people in your life. When you begin to live with self-respect and honor your own values, something powerful happens. You naturally attract the right people and filter out the wrong ones. Loyalty is not proven in words, it's revealed in actions, especially when it costs something. The moment you decide to stand firm in who you are, you will see who is willing to stand beside you, and who was only there for what you could give them. Many people mistake loyalty for blind obedience or constant sacrifice. But that's not what it is. True loyalty is rooted in love, respect, and authenticity. It's not about staying no matter what. It's about standing with someone because you believe in them, not because you fear losing them. And the same applies to the loyalty you give to yourself. When you are loyal to your own heart, you create a magnetic force that draws people who value you for the right reasons. Those who are only there for convenience or personal gain will naturally drift away because they cannot survive in the presence of someone who knows their worth. When you start honoring your truth, the shift can be surprising. Some people you thought would always be there may fall away. It can hurt, but it's not a loss, it's a revelation. Loyalty acts as a filter, separating those who truly love you from those who only loved what you could do for them. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they were not meant to walk with you into the next chapter of your life. True loyalty can't be forced, and it can't be faked. It either exists in someone's heart or it doesn't. The beauty of living with this kind of loyalty is that it creates relationships built on trust and depth. When you are surrounded by people who are genuinely loyal, you don't have to question their intentions. You don't have to perform or pretend. You can be raw, flawed, and authentic because their loyalty isn't dependent on perfection. It's grounded in love and respect, and that level of connection is priceless. It gives you the confidence to take risks, to grow, and to face life's challenges knowing you are supported not by fair-weather companions, but by people who are rooted beside you. But loyalty is not just about what you receive, it's also about what you give. If you want people who are deeply loyal, you must also embody that same standard. This means showing up when it's inconvenient, being honest even when it's uncomfortable, and standing beside those you love when everyone else has turned away. It's not about tolerating toxic behavior or betraying yourself to prove your devotion. It's about being someone others can trust because your actions match your words. One of the most misunderstood aspects of loyalty is that it sometimes requires distance. Protecting your loyalty to someone can mean walking away if staying would require you to hurt them or yourself. It's choosing the higher road, even if it's harder in the moment. Sometimes the most loyal thing you can do is step back and allow space for growth, healing, or truth to come forward. That's because real loyalty isn't possessive, it's freeing. It's not about chaining yourself to people. It's about choosing them over and over because your heart aligns with theirs. When you live this way, the wrong people fall away and the right ones rise to the surface. It can feel like pruning a tree, painful at first, but necessary for new growth. What's left are relationships that nourish you instead of drain you, connections that feel like home instead of a battlefield. This is why loyalty is so powerful. It doesn't just define others, it defines the life you are building. So when you think about loyalty, remember that it's not just a promise to others, it's a promise to yourself. Be loyal to your heart first. Be loyal to your values, your boundaries, and your truth. And as you live from that place, watch how the right people are drawn to you like magnets while the wrong ones fade away. It's not magic, it's alignment. Loyalty has a way of sorting out your life without you having to force anything. The right ones stay, the wrong ones go, and what remains is a circle of trust that makes you stronger, freer, and deeply grounded in love. Protecting your peace is one of the most courageous things you can ever do for yourself, because it often requires you to make decisions that others won't understand. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that peace is not always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go. It's about walking away without guilt when something or someone consistently disturbs the calm you are trying to build. We are taught to fight for relationships, for opportunities, for people we love. But no one teaches us that sometimes the fight costs too much, and the price is our own well-being. Protecting your peace means recognizing when staying connected to something is costing you more than it's giving you. Walking away does not mean you are weak or heartless. In fact, it is one of the strongest acts of self-respect. It's easy to stay in situations that are familiar, even if they hurt you. It's hard to choose yourself when the world tells you that sacrificing your happiness is what love or loyalty looks like. But real love, whether for others or yourself, cannot thrive in chaos. When you step away from toxic situations or relationships, you are not abandoning anyone. You are saving yourself and creating space for healthier connections to grow. Protecting your peace also means setting boundaries and actually enforcing them. Too many people set boundaries with words, but abandon them the moment they are tested because they don't want to upset anyone. But boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling what you allow in your life. Every time you stand firm on a boundary, even if it costs you approval or affection, you are declaring that your peace matters. That declaration, repeated over time, becomes the foundation of a life where you no longer live in constant emotional exhaustion. There is a misconception that walking away is selfish. In reality, it's often the most selfless thing you can do because it prevents you from becoming bitter, resentful, or drained to the point where you have nothing left to give. You cannot pour into anyone from an empty cup. Protecting your peace ensures that what you do give, your time, your love, your energy, is healthy and whole, not fractured by resentment or pain. One of the most powerful signs that you are protecting your peace is learning to walk away without anger. When you no longer need to prove a point, when you no longer stay to explain your worth or argue about why you deserve better, you have reached a new level of strength. Walking away doesn't always have to be loud. In fact, the quiet exit is often the most powerful. It's a sign that you are no longer seeking validation or permission to choose yourself. You simply know that your peace is too valuable to gamble with, and you leave in silence to protect it. This journey isn't easy. Walking away can feel lonely, especially when it means leaving behind people you once loved deeply or dreams you once held close. But over time, you begin to realize that protecting your peace isn't about losing. It's about making room. It's about clearing the space where stress, toxicity, and chaos once lived so that joy, love, and healing can finally enter. The absence of what hurts you is the first step to inviting what heals you. Protecting your peace also requires you to shift how you see yourself. You have to believe you are worth that level of care. You have to believe your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being is worth more than any relationship, opportunity, or expectation that asks you to destroy yourself to keep it. When you finally understand that, walking away stops feeling like abandonment and starts feeling like alignment. At the heart of protecting your peace is a simple truth. You cannot control other people, but you can control what you accept. You may not be able to stop someone from being toxic, but you can choose not to sit in their storm. You may not be able to make every situation perfect, but you can choose to step back until you can breathe again. That power is always in your hands, even when it doesn't feel like it. So if something is costing you your calm, if you feel your soul getting heavier every time you stay, know this: you are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose silence over chaos. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if no one else understands. Because at the end of the day, You are the one who has to live with the weight or the lightness of your choices. And when you choose your peace, you are choosing the life you truly deserve. A life where calm is not a rare escape, but a daily reality you refuse to compromise. When you truly know your worth, something shifts inside you. You stop begging for acceptance, you stop chasing validation, and you stop settling for scraps of love or respect. Instead of pleading for a seat at someone else's table, you begin to build your own. This is one of the most powerful transformations a person can experience because it moves you from a place of dependency to a place of creation. You are no longer waiting for someone to choose you. You are choosing yourself and creating a life that reflects that choice. Too often, we spend years trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for us. We shrink ourselves to fit into relationships, jobs, or social circles just to feel like we belong. But every time you do that, you send yourself a message: my worth is dependent on their approval. That message, repeated over time, eats away at your self-respect. Knowing your worth breaks that cycle. It reminds you that you are valuable not because someone else sees it, but because you have decided it's true, regardless of who agrees. When you build your own table, you stop living in desperation. You no longer fear being alone because you realize solitude with self-respect is far better than company with compromise. You begin to understand that the right people don't need you to beg for a seat. They come willingly because they recognize your value. And those who don't, you stop chasing them because you know that losing someone who couldn't honor your worth is not really a loss at all. Building your own table is not just a metaphor, it's a way of life. It means creating opportunities instead of waiting for permission. It means designing relationships that are reciprocal instead of draining. It means crafting an environment where you can be fully yourself without fear of rejection. This requires courage because it often means stepping away from familiar spaces that have never respected your value. But every step you take toward honoring your worth attracts people and experiences that align with who you truly are. One of the most liberating parts of knowing your worth is that you stop explaining yourself. You stop over-justifying your decisions or your boundaries. People who don't understand will call you arrogant or selfish, but that's only because they benefited from you undervaluing yourself. When you decide you deserve better, you disrupt the dynamics that allowed others to take you for granted. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is a sign that you are rewriting the story of your life. Knowing your worth also means no longer compromising your peace for acceptance. You refuse to stay in rooms where you constantly have to prove yourself. You refuse to tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone. You stop letting fear of rejection drive your choices because you understand that the only true rejection is abandoning yourself. That realization frees you from the trap of seeking validation in places that were never capable of giving it to you. Building your own table doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you create a foundation where love, respect, and opportunity can meet you on your terms. The right people will sit with you, not because you begged them to, but because they see the value you've built and they want to be part of it. This is how you create relationships and spaces that are rooted in mutual respect, not desperation. The journey to this place isn't easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning that told you your value was tied to other people's opinions. It requires facing the fear of letting go of what no longer serves you, even if it leaves you standing alone for a while. But on the other side of that fear is freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to love without losing yourself, and to succeed without selling your soul for approval. At its core, knowing your worth is about making a declaration. I will no longer shrink to fit into spaces. I will no longer beg for what I deserve. I will create the life and relationships that reflect the value I carry inside me. That declaration, lived out day after day, becomes a magnet for everything aligned with your true self. And soon, you realize you never needed to fight for a seat at anyone's table, because the table you built yourself was always where you were meant to sit. Loyalty, peace, and self-worth are not just ideas to talk about. They are the foundation of the life you choose to build. When you learn to be loyal to yourself first, you stop betraying your heart to please others and start living in a way that honors your truth. When you choose peace daily, you understand that it's not a gift from the outside world, but a power you create within. And when you know your self-worth, you stop waiting for someone else to validate you and start building a life where you no longer beg for love, respect, or acceptance. You simply attract it. These three truths are deeply connected. Your loyalty to yourself protects your peace. Your peace strengthens your sense of worth, and your self-worth empowers you to walk into every room with confidence, knowing that you don't need to fight for a place in anyone else's life because you've already chosen yourself. When you live this way, you stop surviving and start thriving. The world will test all three. People will challenge your loyalty, situations will shake your peace, and experiences will try to make you question your value. But every time you choose to stand firm, every time you honor who you are, you build a strength that no one can take away. That strength is what allows you to live freely, love deeply, and walk boldly in the direction of the life you were meant to create. The truth about loyalty, peace, and self-worth is simple but life-changing. They are not given to you, they are claimed by you. And once you claim them, once you live them, you become unstoppable.